Man, sales is tough. I'm just not cut out to be a salesperson. Have you ever felt that way? Selling doesn't need to be so difficult. My name is Harry Spate. I'm here to serve and to help you succeed. Join me as we discuss sales made easy.
So here's the difference. Do you want to be convincing or do you want to be convicted? And I want to be convicted. I'm convicted to what I do to help people. I'm very confident that I can help people. And so I don't feel the need to convince. If somebody kind of just, like I said, not ready to hear this, I want to respect their agency to say, you know what? Nah, this isn't for me. I get disappointed because I know that I can help them.
All right, so today on the Sales Made Easy podcast, we have with us a nice woman who I met in a Zoom meeting. And that's really the way the world has become in a lot of places, is that we meet each other through Zoom. And what I really enjoyed about the conversation is that the person clearly has some sales experience, and she talked about what she did, but it was really low pressure. And I'm a low pressure guy, and I think there's huge benefit from that. So today with us is Patti Scallan. Patti has an interesting background. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what she's doing today and how it all relates to sales. So Patti, welcome to the Sales Made Easy podcast.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm honored to be here.
Awesome. So we're honored to have you. So Patti, can you give us a little bit of a snippet as far as your background is concerned? Because I don't think you're always an entrepreneur. So why don't you talk a little bit about what you've done over the years?
Okay. So my first career actually was in banking. I was a bank manager for 12 years. And then stopped to raise my babies and just knew after that I didn't want to be behind a desk. I mean, I love people. I love being out and around that. And certainly being in the banking, I was able to do that, but it still was somewhat stifled for somebody like me. So I had originally taken a part-time position at a homeopathic company. And that's what started my passion with alternative health. So I've been in that world for 20 years now. I had a holistic wellness center for 10 of those years, which was positively delightful. And then when we moved to the beach 3 years ago, I shifted yet again, but it's still within all that, health and wellness.
Awesome. So would you say that finding your passion helped you pursue business a little bit differently than you were in the banking industry?
Well, I think that when it came to the alternative health and realized, there is that part of me that's a nurturer, and I just wanted to be able to help people. And that gave me that avenue. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. But once I started down that path, I just kept adding things, where I was a massage therapist and then I was a digestive health professional. I also did energy coaching where I worked with EFT. So I loved being able to help people physically and emotionally. It just fit. And yes, I do have that entrepreneurship in me that comes from my father. He owned his own business for, always. And so that is very much part of who I am. But it had to be coupled with something that I was passionate about. Like I literally, there's a lot of companies out there that have wonderful products, but I couldn't align myself with that. I had to have something that really spoke to my heart because that's how I like to function from my heart. So yeah, health and wellness just really did it for me.
Awesome. So what was something that you learned in the business when you were working in alternative health? What did you learn that maybe came across as a bit of a surprise for you?
Um, that sometimes people don't know what they don't know. And they kind of just go through life thinking they can eat the way they want to eat and have the lifestyle they want to have, and that they're always going to be healthy. And then all of a sudden, oh no, That's not true, and so I try and work with people to say, don't wait for a crisis. you
Hmm.
know I also use the analogy, if the car you have right now would be the last car you would ever have, would you take better care of it? Well, guess what? This is the last body we're going to have. So let's take better care of it. And then, you can live life more vibrantly. You can engage in things. I mean, for me, I just kayaked down the Colorado River. I'm
Oh my.
69 years old. I'm 69. And I thought, you know, 5 years ago, I don't know that I would have thought that I could do that. Right. But
Wow.
that's what it means. If you take care of yourself, you can engage in your life. And listen, I'll be doing that at 100.
I love it. It's interesting. I was listening to a book on Audible, Excuses Be Gone by Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
And one of the lines he used was, as an excuse, was that he was too tired. And this is an excuse that a lot of people say, well, I don't have the energy, I'm too tired. And he said, as a young person, even years ago, he's barely 30 years old, he says, oh, I'm too tired to do something, right? And then he realized how foolish that was if you're too tired at 30, right? So he says, at that point, I made a decision that I was never going to be too tired for anything. He says, we're
Um,
a source. We have incredible energy in our bodies, and to use that is a terrible excuse. So hearing what you just said, right? That, I mean, taking a trip down to Colorado is something that maybe you would have thought only younger people do. But so
and
what's your thought on that?
I was a little nervous, Harry, quite frankly. It was a little bit out of my wheelhouse. I mean, I've kayaked a little bit, but I've
Hmm.
kayaked on a lake.
Sure.
Quiet water, and you're 30 minutes out there, and I knew I would be minimum 3 hours on the water,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what to expect. But I'm also a leap of faither, and I thought, you know what? You don't know until you try something, right?
Yeah. I love the attitude. So
Mhm.
what did you learn about yourself on that experience?
Um, that I'm strong and I'm capable. And I think that it is a decision. Like you said, when people make excuses, they are just that, they're
Hmm.
excuses. We are capable of doing almost anything if we
Right.
want to do it. But I also know, and maybe it's because I'm on that other side of that hill, I want to experience what I can experience, but I want to do it without pain and discomfort and having to take medication to get through those things. So I'm very blessed to have engaged in this world early on. And I mean, I raised my babies on homeopathic remedies. We don't use medications, you
Hmm.
know. Not that there's not a crisis moment when you might need to do that. I don't
Yeah.
mean to say that you can never do that. But medications are usually for symptoms, right? So if
Right.
you're taking a medication for, say, high blood pressure for 5 years, well, why? There are ways to work with that and get rid of the high blood pressure instead of just controlling the symptoms of the high blood pressure. Not to mention there's side effects of every medication, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. So was this something that you discovered when you were doing, you went into the alternative health field, or were you kind of raised around that?
Well, I was raised around that. We
Hmm.
really were not, my mother didn't take medication, and I think back then it was very different. Our
Yeah.
food supplies were really healthy. So we were just healthy. I mean, I
Hmm.
was one of 7 children, and I mean, none of us had medications for any reason at all.
Yeah.
So she was not as obsessive as I am about it, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I didn't even know I was until I
Hmm.
started down that path. But each time I added a tool and learned more, it just got exciting. And so now, I mean, even 20 years later, I am constantly reading and learning, and it's exciting to me.
Yeah. Okay. So you're keeping yourself sharp. So that's a great segue. So how has that helped you as far as your sales and your business is concerned about the reading and, you know, staying enlightened?
Well, I believe that when people talk to me, that number one, I think they genuinely know that I'm passionate about what I'm saying. I
Mhm.
walk my talk. I
Yeah.
don't just talk my talk. I also believe that they feel safe with me because I have knowledge. I've
Hmm.
been learning for 20 years. I'm not a medical professional. I don't ever try and step over that, and act like I am. But I do have a lot of knowledge. And I also know what can work and what can help people. And like I said in the beginning, I love people. I just want them to
Hmm.
feel better and feel excited about their life. So I think that that's really what it is. I mean, I keep learning so that I can keep sharing.
Yeah, that's great. And it's true, isn't it, that anyone in any field, if they stop learning, then they stop staying current, number one,
Absolutely.
right? And then what value are they bringing to you know, to their clients and saying, well, I found this in 1983 and it might still apply, right? I mean, you want current
Well,
information, right?
absolutely. I mean, that's even within the medical field. There
Hmm.
are some that, are so used to telling their patients to do this, this, and this when science has brought us up to here. So are
Right.
they willing to come up here and meet them? Because there's new science out there, like years ago it was like, oh, don't eat eggs or don't eat fat. And I mean, and that's not true. You
Right.
know what I mean? So we keep evolving, we keep learning, and it's important for all of us in all fields. You're right, in all fields, that we have to kind of keep up to date.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny what you just said. I was listening, heard, saw something somewhere recently about placebo effects.
Mm-hmm.
And had to do with knee surgery. So, over the course of, I don't know if it was 20 years, it was a long time. And they had three different types of knee surgery that were performed on patients. Well, the third one is incisions only and no surgery, right? They just made the incisions to make it look like there is surgery. And out of the study of these people that had bad knees, they didn't go into knee replacement. It was like clean up and then maybe a little more extensive. And then the third one was just make the incision and tell the person that they had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what the results showed? The results showed that the placebo had the same impact on people. And one guy said that he was having a hard time walking for a couple of years, was playing basketball again.
Interesting. Was that Joe Dispenza's book?
I don't know where I saw it. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think I
yeah,
read something similar in Joe Dispenza's book. Listen, there is absolutely the connection between mind and body.
yeah.
I mean, there is, but yes.
Yeah, so my thought was, I said, I think that's a relatively newer, right? I mean, more people are accepting that than they may have years ago. I don't know, but it seems like they are. So when you talk about that your mind, you know, just right, being positive and thinking that you don't necessarily need to be in pain can help situations, whereas before that might have been a closed door.
That's true. That's true. I
Yeah.
mean, I remember my daughter was dating an oncologist once, and she talked about the survival rate. And he said the survival rate was absolutely higher for the people that believed they could heal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. So all of this, right, is that you got into the homeopathic treatment and healthcare, and probably people thought it was kind of I'm going to be the devil's advocate, but you probably had some people that says, well, this is voodoo, or here comes
Right.
Kathy the voodoo,
Right.
the witch doctor, or Patty. My wife's name is Kathy.
Right.
Patty the witch. Did anyone ever say anything that was kind of silly like that and make a mockery out of it, or no?
Well, sure, there's always going to be people that are skeptical with any of those kind of things, but I guess, I was in practice for so long that each thing that I would learn and introduce to my own clients, they just trusted that, oh, there must be something to this if Patty's telling me about it.
Nice.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, and those that are so skeptical, I don't try and convince them. You know
Smart.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even with the company I'm with now, it is such a um it's a medical breakthrough. So it's like if somebody is not ready to hear that, then it's okay. It's
Right.
okay, you
That's so
know?
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was thinking about is that in the conversations in sales in business, sometimes people feel like they have to convince people,
Mhm.
right? They have to win that argument. And the world is too big of a place to try to change everyone's thinking, right? What's your
Absolutely.
thought?
Yeah, well, you don't want to try and change somebody's eye color because guess what? You can't.
Yeah.
So here's the difference. Do you want to be convincing or do you want to be convicted? And I want to be convicted. I'm convicted to what I do to help people. I'm very confident that I can help people. And so I don't feel the need to convince. If somebody kind of just, like I said, not ready to hear this, I want to respect their agency to say, you know what? Nah, this isn't for me. I get disappointed because I know that I can help them. I really mean that. But that's all it is. It's a disappointment. The last thing I want to do is force somebody because the truth is if you force somebody to do something, then that concept of the placebo effect, the opposite could happen, right? They just won't even accept that there was a change in their body or how they were functioning or even their mind, whatever. So
Yeah. There's a lot of brilliance in what you just said, right? So let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone that said, no, I'm not going to go this direction, and then months or even years later, they've reached out to you and said, hey, I'm ready to give that a try?
oh, absolutely. And I think that sometimes it's when a crisis hits and they go, you know what, maybe I will reach out to her. And people do know that, like I said, at my age and not taking medication and being as active as I am, well, I must have some kind of secret, right?
Yeah.
I must be doing something right. So then, yes, they will reach out. A lot of times it is because they've hit a brick wall. Like recently I had this. This is a woman that I've known for 3 years. And certainly she knew about what I did and what I had to offer. And even bought it for someone else that was in crises,
Yeah.
right? But never her own. And I guess it was just about 2 months ago, she reached out and she goes, I can't keep up what I'm doing. I need help. And so we got her started and she's doing beautifully. She's really excited. And so that's such a blessing when somebody comes back and says, yeah, you know.
Right. And so looking the opposite of what could happen, right? So, by you treating people the right way and keeping that door open and recognizing that now is not the time, they don't view you as the pushy, obnoxious, it's all about me
Right.
sales persona, right? They view as someone as, like yourself, as someone that's willing to serve and help. Thoughts?
Absolutely. You have to be respectful, and I don't take things as a no. I think I take it more as a not now or not
Yeah.
yet. And they may never come back to this, but they will through someone else. And to me, it's just about people feeling better. So if they find a different answer somewhere else, I'm happy for them as long as it's not drugs.
Yeah, right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
But absolutely, I just believe that it is really, really important. And so when somebody says no to you, you go, well, you know what? Thanks for looking at my material. I appreciate that because you
Right.
never know. They may come across somebody that says, oh, you know what? Aunt Susie could really, really use this. Maybe I'll connect them. And so that's always a blessing because it's not necessarily who you're speaking to, but maybe who you're speaking to has someone in need, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the beauty of having the right personality is that or you make your personality the right personality, not necessarily you were born with it, but just recognizing that, not everyone's going to be open to this. The timing's not always perfect, right? No is not no forever. No can be not yet. Still going to treat people with respect and then they may give you a referral, which sounds like that has happened with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. So I'm going to go back in time. So years ago, you were in the bank business, and I asked you earlier, I said, did you ever thought you were going to get in sales? Something along those lines. And your response was something like, we're all in sales. Can you elaborate a little bit about what that
Well,
meant?
sure. I mean, even in banking, back then you are in sales because they can go to the bank next door or the bank next door. And again, for me, you want to make people feel listened to. You want to bring joy to that person. If you can bring a smile to somebody's face, guess what? They're going to do business with you before they do business with the other person that can't seem to crack a smile.
Right.
So I think that we're always selling. We're selling ourselves. We're selling whatever our product may be, whether it's in banking or in healthcare or in coaching.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in sales. But I do think that referral piece is so important because some people, like in my company, they go, oh, well, you know what, that's network marketing. Well, here's the thing, don't we refer for everything? If you watch a good movie, do you tell somebody about it? If you
Right.
go to a good restaurant and have fabulous service and
Yeah.
fabulous food, do you tell someone about it? So I don't know, sales is really um a strong word for me. To me, it's more about sharing.
Yeah.
When you have something that can bless someone else, you want to share, whether it's a restaurant or a movie or a business or a product. It doesn't really matter. We are, I think, in life in the business of sharing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why not make it
Totally.
something positive that can
Yeah.
improve somebody's life, right?
Exactly, and it's like you've got it down, right? It's like, why wouldn't you make a recommendation for a great restaurant, right? Why
Absolutely.
wouldn't you, if whatever, right?
Yep.
So we all do that, but the whole thing about network marketing, some people just feel like it's not for them, and there's negativity that goes around that. How have you been able to kind of push that away and really thrive in the network? Because a lot of people did and
Right.
have and continue to do so. I mean, lots of superstars, sales gurus are network marketers, right?
Correct.
So there's no shame in it. So, but obviously some people have the thought about it. So what's yours?
Well, interesting enough,
Uh oh, I got dogs. My dogs. Sorry.
sorry, when I was first approached, I didn't look at it, and that was one of the reasons, is I had never really engaged in that world. So I was a little bit nervous about it, but I had other reasons. I was running a very big center. I had a full practice myself, so I didn't look at it. But guess what? Crises hit my family. My husband's health was challenged. And we worked for a year trying to get him out of pain and feeling better. And we just weren't, we spent thousands of dollars and just weren't getting the results. And so I said to him, we have to find something else. And just like that, the person that had introduced me to this a year earlier came to my mind.
Mm.
So I called her up and I said, come back in. And she did explain it to me. We got him on it. And within a couple months, we had our life back. So at that point, it's like, well, I guess I should look at this because I do have clients that are in physical pain. I have people with gut issues. I have people with depression and anxiety. And here I have something that literally could help all of them. So why wouldn't I jump into it at that point? But interesting enough, I did it just on that level. I
Mm-hmm.
just used it within my practice because,
Okay.
again, it wasn't something I was that familiar with. Now, 5 years later, I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant business model. People are skeptical because they have that old impression of the pyramid scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And back then it was the people at the top were the ones that made the money, and it just trickled down. And by the time you're this many levels down, but that's not, most companies don't function like that
Mm-hmm.
now. Most network marketing companies are above board, and the people that come into the company here can make more than the people that are there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's brilliant, it's honest, it's fair, and it's exciting. It's a really exciting area that I never thought. I mean, you know, again, had you said that to me 5 years ago, I go, crazy. And now it's wonderful. And to be able, so again, I was able to help people physically and emotionally, but now I have that piece where I can help somebody financially if that's what they're looking for. How exciting is that?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, you're a believer.
I
You've
am.
come around, lady.
I have come around. Well, you know, it's funny because people will say, well, don't you miss your center? And the truth is I do. I
Hmm.
loved all 10 years of being there. I loved my clients. I loved everything that I did. But when I look at it, that was lovely. This is exciting.
Mm.
I mean, it just this can grow to what you want it to grow to. And the more you grow your team, the more people that are going to get helped. Because
Hmm.
I'm not, again, I hate to keep saying my age, but I'm saying the money is not my big why. I mean, we all want to make money, you know, we can travel a
Hmm.
little bit more, this or that, but that's not my why. So that makes it different for me. I just love to be able to see somebody walk down the street that was limping before and now they're not. How
Hmm.
exciting is that? Or with my husband to have blood sugar issues and now he doesn't. How
Right.
exciting is that? You know, to be able to get people off of medications. So yeah, I love what I do. I'm pretty smitten by the business, to be truthful.
Yeah, that's great. And it's just that you have such a great attitude. Do you dread or do you fear talking to people about what it is you do on the sales side of things? Like, oh no, I got to make calls, or oh no, I got to talk to strangers. Are you like that, or how do you approach it?
I'm really not, but I am a people person. I am an extrovert. There's no doubt. That's not to say that introverts can't make it in this world. You know, when you talk to people, in my old practice, I did a what was called energy profiling,
Mm-hmm.
and there's four basic types of energy people. So I know this process so well that when I talk to somebody, I know whether they're looking for the immediate solution? Are they looking for the science? Are they looking for the price and the cost? And then you learn how to talk to people. So very rarely would I be afraid to speak to someone. I'm so confident in what I have that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to talk to people about it. No.
Mm-hmm. And the rejection, how do you feel about rejection? Do you ever like have bad days and say, oh,
Well, I mean, in any business, sure, there's always going to be that, but I don't take that personal.
mm-hmm.
Again, I just look at it. They're just not ready to hear it. You know,
Yeah.
it's not even about what I have to offer. When you're talking to somebody and you know that, for instance, they're significantly overweight, and if they were to just lose weight, their health would improve.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they know they're overweight. We don't need to point that out. We don't
Yeah.
need to tell them. But that also means that they might not be ready to deal with it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
So if they reject what I'm saying, it's not because of me, it's because of them. They're just not ready.
Yeah. Good point.
But
So
we don't want to
Patty,
wait too long to take reins of our health.
right, yeah. Because, things can happen. Things can go south quickly.
Sure.
What about your husband? Was he a believer in what you were when you were trying? I mean, so you guys went through the whole trial and error thing for a year.
Right.
What was his thoughts when he said, "Well, look, drink this, take these," and
Well,
yeah.
so here's what happened. So when he was in the beginning, he was had significant pain in his joints and he was losing all of his muscle mass and no energy for anything. But I still couldn't convince him to go to the doctors,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, being in alternative health, that's not our first thing. We don't go to
Yeah.
the doctors first. We try and figure it out. But it got to a point where I couldn't get to the source of his pain. And I said, you need to go to the doctor so we can at least know what we're dealing with. And then we'll decide what we're going to do. But I couldn't convince him to do that. So this continued. And finally, I did convince him to see a functional medicine practitioner, and she was able to draw blood work and all. And that's how we found that out. So when we found out that he had type 2 diabetes, he was scared.
Mm.
So he was willing to do whatever she told him to do, not me. I mean, it's the kind of thing where she's talking about his diet and what he's doing and how he got to where he was. And he says to her, gee, I never knew bread was that bad for you. And I'm going, what? You know what I'm saying? So in any event, she did say she could turn it around in months, and we spent thousands of dollars and it didn't happen.
Mm.
So then here we are. He's been in this pain for over a year now, and I'm introduced to this. So I said, look, what do you have to lose?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he was willing to do it, not because he believed that it would work, but he was tired of feeling not well, tired of being in pain. I mean, our life was literally on hold. It was that significant, right? So he was just tired of being in that place. And honestly, and he's the type that he wants science, he wants facts, he's a skeptic. Let me just say that. He's a skeptic. But within the first week, he started to feel better. And so, it was easy for him to continue. And so 5 years later, he'll talk to anybody because it changed our lives, So, but no, he was.
Testimonials work, I hear.
They do. When you have it in your own family, that's pretty cool too. But,
That's great. I just heard someone today talk about case studies versus success stories. And those success stories really connect people because stories connect. And the hero is the person, not the product.
Correct.
And people want to see people like themselves who are heroes everywhere, right? So,
you relate to the stories. Yeah. Because you're always going to find somebody that is struggling in one area or the other, and when you go, oh yeah, but this is what happened, and you want to hope. And I think that that's what it is too. When I first started with this company, I used to say it was hope in a bottle.
Yeah.
Because it gave them hope where there was none. I mean, there were some situations that were dire situations and there was no hope. And so I felt like I certainly can't say, hey, take this and everything's going to be fabulous. But I can say, hey, this will improve your quality of life and possibly give you that hope. And I think just like when we go back to that mind-body connection, when you have hope and you're in that mental attitude, that can shift too. I mean, it's all cellular, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I totally believe in what you're talking about, right? It's just like if you believe it, there's a good chance it can happen.
Absolutely.
I could go on with my own beliefs about health, but that's not the purpose. So, but I love what you're saying, and it's just it's a soft approach. You're not forcing it on anyone. You're not getting dejected over the nose. It's a not today. And then understanding who your buyers are, right? Which is also huge. Is like, different personality types buy differently. So,
correct.
Yeah, great stuff, Patti Scallan. You are a great guest, and I really appreciate you coming on and just making it look so dang easy. For crying out loud, sales is not difficult, folks. Just follow Patti. And oh, by the way, Patti, where can people find you if they want to have more conversations about how you're helping people physically and other ways today?
Well, I am on LinkedIn, and it's Patti with an I, Scallan, Scallan. I am on Facebook. I don't know. I can give you my email or phone number. Do you usually do that?
Yeah, we'll put something in the notes. Don't worry about it. But your name is gonna be in the lights, lady. So we'll put it in the show notes. People can find you, but yeah, reach out to Patti Scallan on Facebook and LinkedIn and have a conversation. She's a sweet lady, and she'll set you straight. And the whole thing about the what kind of alternative health back in the day. What was the term people used? I mean, what I'm trying to think. It's a
You mean like
different.
quackery?
No, 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 no. But alternative health. What's another word for like the homeopathic?
Oh, homeopathic. Well, that
Right.
is,
So is that part of it?
well, homeopathic is a very specific, they like their medicines, if you will, they're actually like minute amounts of whatever it is you were dealing with. If you
Oh,
have,
okay.
yeah. So it's different, but it's still in the alternative health. Yes.
Okay. Alternative health. Okay. All right. Anyways, I'm still learning. I remember years ago. Quick story. I was suffering back pain. So I went to this chiropractor and she put rocks on my chest. And, you know, chimes, weird things going on. I'm like, this is quackery. Right? Because I didn't believe any of that stuff. And so instead, I suffered with back pain for a long time. But then eventually, it's like, oh, life happens. There's a thing called vibrations and things that, my mind opened up over the years. And I clearly was not ready at that time. So,
Absolutely.
we might have a perception of something, but, ask yourself the question is like, is it because of my perception and someone told me? Or am I open minded to see why this is working for other people? Right.
Right. And it's so, it's so important to be open minded. I mean, yes, years ago, chiropractors were considered quacks. I mean,
Yeah.
really, they're so mainstream now. So
Yeah.
when you talk about something, like what I have that's cellular, years ago, who really spoke about that? But now we realize we live and die at the cellular level. It's time to open minds. It is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's what I'm here to open minds.
All right, Patti Scallan. Thanks again for the Sales Made Easy podcast guesting. You have
Well,
an awesome day, and we'll talk to you real soon.
all right. Thanks so much, Harry. Good to see you.
All right, you're the best.
Bye bye now.
Man, sales is tough. I'm just not cut out to be a salesperson. Have you ever felt that way? Selling doesn't need to be so difficult. My name is Harry Spate. I'm here to serve and to help you succeed. Join me as we discuss sales made easy.